Hey guys, it's Clint, and I want to talk about this Pensacon fiasco. I think it's reached the level of fiasco now. But first, I gotta just let you know again, I am writing this book, Downcast. It's going to be a comic book. It's going to be fantastic. If you're interested in it, it's going to be on Indiegogo on April 2nd. You can click on the link in the description below to the mailing list and just enter the mailing list. I promise not to spam you. It's just where I'm going to be sending you the information when it launches, and that'll really, really help a lot. So thank you very much. All right, Pensacon. What we have here is a messaging nightmare. This is somebody should take the Twitter away. This is one of those times where it's almost better not to say anything, because this problem has been really just expanded because of the messaging problems. This could be something totally avoidable. If you're not familiar with the specifics of it, basically this convention, Pensacon, they threatened to arrest attendees for speaking about VIC Mignogna. And yes, when you're trying to suppress people's speech, especially by something that's this controversial, then there's going to be a little bit of blowback. So there was some blowback, and things have been swinging back and forth. Now it sounds like they're doubling down. So I wanted to just get here to their statement and go through this a little bit. Keep in mind, as we do, we're looking at the messaging here. This is a public relations front, which I know a little bit about. But it's also fandom and everything colliding, and a lot of this is also compounded, I think, by YouTube and social media at large. This is an interesting day and age that we live in. So they start off, everyone, we need to address the situation that continues to be a problem, mainly from a group of people that seem to think harassment is their right. So the group of people that they're talking about are basically anybody that supports Vic Mignogna. I'm always going to say his name. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of people that are in support of Vic, or they're at least very, very suspicious of the accusations. And there's a lot of reasons why one should be suspicious, especially because there really ought to be some kind of checks and balances here. There really ought to be due process when it comes to allegations that could potentially ruin someone's life and certainly their career. So they continue, for the past several days, based on a video produced by a local YouTuber who courts the toxic fandom crowd and others of his ilk, we have been receiving hateful messages from people involved in this movement, and also from some people who are confused and claim that we are trying to limit free speech, as this is how these bloggers and their videos have portrayed the situation. Bloggers or vloggers, they're making videos, whatever. So here's the thing, they are blaming it. This is not a specific blame, but you'll see down below, Jeremy, I believe from Geeks and Gamers, is going to take some of that brunt. And they also mention Ethan Van Sciver in here, because I know he's made a video as well. Now, I will say, to be fair, okay, YouTube really, really encourages or incentivizes YouTube channels to get into these controversial topics. I can see that now with my YouTube channel as things have been growing, definitely, for sure. Now, I'm not going to entirely blame that on YouTube, because YouTube is following what people want. And this should be no surprise. People are certainly interested in conflict. This has always been the case. Any news organization, right? They even have that saying, if it bleeds, it leads. So, of course, YouTube personalities are going to be finding places of conflict, and of course, they're going to be critical, because that's what people want to see. Having said that, Pensacon here is creating their own problems. Like, they wouldn't have. This is a bear that doesn't need to be poked. It doesn't make sense why this started in the first place. I mean, just have your convention. I don't know. So there is some sense, though, that people on both sides will court controversy in order to hopefully sell more tickets, perhaps. Maybe that was their idea. I don't think it's going to work out how they were hoping it was working. They continue. Recently, a prominent voice actor was accused by multiple women of sexual assault and inappropriate behavior. There were also several men in the industry that backed up accusations, saying they had witnessed the same sorts of behavior. After investigations, this voice actor was fired by two of the most popular and successful anime companies in the U.S. for which he worked. Now, I'm going to, again, disclaimer here, if Vic did something wrong, then that's awful, and I hope due process goes its course. Having said that, having somebody fired by 2 companies is not evidence. It's just evidence that they're dodging a public relations nightmare, or trying to. And this is the way that things build up, right? People disavow, and because somebody else disavowed, you feel like you need to disavow, and so it becomes that this person is blacklisted when they've had no due process. One of these young women who bravely spoke out was our guest, Monica Rail. Since that time, Monica has been harassed online, threatened, and worst of all, called a false accuser. Again, I'd love to see these things play out. I don't know if there's actually any way to know for sure what happened, or if this could even go to court. But the fact that there's always a side taken, that's the thing. Ever since the Me Too movement happened, I think it's a good thing that Harvey Weinstein was called out. There's a lot of actually credible evidence there, and he's been charged with a crime, at least one, right? He's been charged with crimes. Vic, on the other hand, has not been charged with crime. They continue. We started to receive messages from people letting us know that Monica should be canceled from Pensacon because she was an awful person, a liar. In many cases, worse terms were used. That's, I guess, a rough situation if you already had her on your lineup, right? She was already billed to be there. That would be a tough situation to be in. I guess I don't envy them. That would be hard. That prompted us to make a statement. Here's their statement. Please note, we don't do victim shaming at Pensacon, and as stated before, we don't tolerate harassment. Okay, 2 things. Victim shaming. Oh man, what's the difference between accountability and victim shaming? Right? I realize if someone's actually a victim of a crime, they shouldn't be shamed. This is, well, I mean, people can do whatever they want, I guess, but there should be, due process. Things should follow through. At the same time, something like this where there's a lot of dubious evidence, is there a standard for what questions you're able to ask, and if you're able to doubt some of those claims? And then obviously harassment is such a blanket term that it almost means nothing. They continue, we're committed to everyone's safety. If you harass a guest, you will be escorted from the building. What does harassment mean? You need to be specific, right? And so this is where it comes in. If you mention Vic Mignogna, are you going to get kicked out? They continue, if you choose to resist, law enforcement will be involved and you will be arrested. There is zero tolerance of this type of behavior. If this is something you cannot abide by, we don't want your business. All right, so let's say you're having a panel at a con, and you have Monica up there and she's talking, and somebody gets up to ask a question, and they ask basically like, why are you a liar, or something like that. Right? They're very upset. What would the con do? Well, honestly, I think having a open panel of people asking questions is just a bad idea. It doesn't matter that they have this in writing here, because undoubtedly you're going to get people there that are going to be upset. And so again, why message this and threaten police? Obviously, if you tell somebody to get off your property, if you tell them to get off, then you can call the police if they refuse to get off your property, because technically they're trespassing. This is true everywhere. You don't need to say it. This is making things worse. And they go on to say, we don't want your business. Again, the terms are just so broad. It's, if I'm called a harasser online because, I make a video and I'm reporting what's going on, if that's harassment, then I guess I'm not allowed to go to a con. You see here, this is the problem. There needs to be very specific definitions. They go on, as you can see, we said nothing about anyone wearing t-shirts suppressing free speech, etc. What has happened is that these alt-right trolls who have been threatening Monica, both verbally and physically, seized on this and created a false narrative. Okay, now we've gone a whole other level. Oh man, why is everybody alt-right? Can you disagree and not be alt-right? This isn't helping. Why do everyone does this? They just jump to the conclusion that you're alt-right. So yeah, it won't be tolerated. Law enforcement would get involved. Okay, this again goes without saying. If people are doing something that's genuinely against the law, or something that you'd kick them out for, and then they're trespassing. I mean, you don't have to tell us about all your trespassing laws, right? And all the circumstances that you could get kicked out for. What you do is you want to create your event so it limits things like this happening. But they're not interested in that. They're interested more in making a statement, and they've already done a lot of talking, so it looks like they're trying to get out of it by doubling down. It goes on. They also took selected tweet responses from ours and edited them to make them look like we were threatening people. The Twitter user we had an exchange with, whose comments have conveniently been edited out of these alt-right blogs. What blog? Whose exact alt-right blog? You need to point out which one you're condemning, and then people will know if it's alt-right or not. Does this mean now, because I'm talking about this in a video, that I'm alt-right and that this is a blog and not a video? Oh, and they do include videos and videos. Excuse me, I will retract that. Let's see, they were trying to organize people to harass Monica at our show, and when we called him on it, let us know that he felt people aren't harassing her if they don't physically attack her. We and law enforcement disagree. You're not, okay, this is the thing, is if you're online and if you're criticizing something or someone, you're still not breaking the law. Law enforcement doesn't disagree with that. If you're at a venue and you're doing something that they don't like, it's a private operation. Obviously, they can kick you out. Those are two different statements, though. They also tried to claim that we were spying on them. If having a Google alert set up to let a business know when someone is talking about them online is sophisticated spying, we must be more high-tech than we thought. I mean, it is a little weird, I guess. I mean, I don't even do that. Who cares? Who cares if someone's talking about you? You can't go and put out all those fires. In fact, it'd be better just to ignore it. People seem to think that we are some small convention can't handle the situation, and we're easily bullied. You're actually proving the opposite of that. It doesn't matter how big you are. You're not handling it very well. We are not. So they're big. Okay. We have over 35,000 attendees this year, and the entire community is involved in this event. These people seem to think that if they show up and cause trouble, we will need to call the police. But the reality is that the police will already be here to deal with any situation. Okay, I'm going to skip one here. They said, also, as far as accusing anyone, we haven't, though I would suggest that you read the statements issued by the accused on February 13th, where he says he is entering counselship for inappropriate actions. We hope that it is true that he finds help. Okay, you aren't making accusations, though you did call the accuser the victim, and you called people that disagree, because whether you like it or not, this is very controversial, and there are people on both sides of the issue. You've clearly made your side clear, and you're obviously implying that Vic did something. The problem is inappropriate actions, again, is very broad, and it can mean a lot of different things, and there's been a lot of videos on it, and stuff like this isn't helping. You know, this was the spying thing. Like I said, I never said I was going, no, but the people you're encouraging to do so and harass a guest will be arrested. Mark our words, this is a warning, heed it. Wow. Here's the problem, okay, if you're encouraging people to speak up and tell the truth. Here's the problem. Okay, this is activism in a sense. And what I have a problem is if people are okay with activism on one side but not okay with activism on another side, it seems really silly. There has to be rules of engagement, I think, all around on these kinds of issues, but to be okay with one and not the other seems really disingenuous. And again, I don't think that Pensacon is helping their case here. They're actually making things much, much worse than I think that they need to be. Here's a tweet in here from Ethan Van Sciver. So Pensacon received this, what definitely appears to be a bomb threat. I'm told Homeland Security is investigating this, and that's great. But I'm sharing this stuff. I'm not sure if this is genuine or not, but depriving congoers of this info is irresponsible. Okay, and so there was something that I guess looked like a bomb threat. Short story, I live in Utah, and Anita Sarkeesian, if you're familiar with her, and sort of a lot of the Gamergate stuff, Anita Sarkeesian was supposed to come and speak at Utah State University. This was several years ago, and somebody called in a bomb threat, and so she canceled the whole thing and didn't go at all. The reason I bring that up is because bomb threats are stupid. You shouldn't be calling in bomb threats. I don't care who's speaking. You should let people speak. Having said that, you also need to take bomb threats seriously. It's a hard thing. This con has made everything so much worse than it needs to be because they inserted themselves into a very difficult situation. So I'm not really sure what to glean from this, but I did want to give you the update because that is an update for sure. Bounding into Comics has actually been a great resource for some of that. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are in the comments below. Please let me know. If you haven't yet, like, subscribe, ring the bell, and don't forget to sign up for my mailing list for Downcast because that comic is going to be awesome. Thanks. See you next time.